Hi guys, what's good? Today this is Arthur and I wanted to give you 30 tips to improve as a natural bodybuilder. So if you're a beginner or a hard gainer, these 30 tips are really for you because they'll really help you going through all, the basics and really what matters. Because I think I give actually some advice that are, that could look quite basics, but that you won't really find all the time on the internet. And internet has, a lot of bullshit. So here I'm really trying to give you, the 30 tips so you can really skip all this research and actually get results pretty fast as a natural bodybuilder, because there is no magic pill. But I think that if you have the good resources, you can improve pretty fast, even though you're natural. So if you wanna hear them, stay with me. So number one tip is to stay natural. So that might sound pretty dumb because obviously this video is about natural bodybuilders, but I'm trying to say this here to think long term and think that actually being natural, you can actually achieve great things that we don't really talk about. You have so many people that gym like 1-2 hours a day as naturals and they do extremely well. They get really great results, and we hear overtraining way too much, and I think most of the people undertrain. And you would be surprised if you keep going as a natural bodybuilder what kind of level you can reach, what kind of resistance to training you can build. I've met so many natural bodybuilders who've been accused of being on gear because they were that good. And so if I was you, I would think long term. Also, you really are going to avoid all the side effects that steroids can give you. And again, genetics, when you take steroids are very important. So you might not be that lucky guy, and even the lucky ones who can take steroids end up usually paying for taking gear. So if you stay natural, you're sure not to get these side effects. So that's one more thing. My second tip is to set your goals. So we always talk about setting goals, but here I think it's important because it's just like telling the captain of a boat to go towards these directions, but it goes blindfolded. It might just end up going in circles. So if you actually write down everything where you want to get to, it'll be much easier in your head, because as well you've kind of like promised yourself and wrote everything down before you're starting. So it's like in your head it's already clear, so then the process is much easier to go through. And so a few questions that you could ask yourself are, for example, why do I want to go to the gym? What do I want to get out of it? Is it gonna help me the way I think it will? Because sometimes you get into the gym for external factors, and this is pretty much what I did as well. When you go to the gym, you lack confidence, so you want to build a good physique. I think that's very important to think about it before you get started, so you don't fall into that trap. And so to set your goals, well, I mean, you can use whatever techniques there are. On the internet there are many things like the SMART goals. So the most important is really to answer, I think, a few basic questions about, like I said, why you want to get started, and make it clear why you want to do this. Third tip is the mindset. So here I don't want to, call out the never give up, blah, 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 that we see on Instagram all the time. But I want to say more, don't compare yourself to others, and not just, looking at others like, oh, he's bigger than me, whatever. What I want to say is that in bodybuilding, we're all good. But we all have different morphologies, so you shouldn't compare yourself in terms of lifts to others. So for example, if someone is benching much more than you, maybe, well, first he's working hard just as you are, but as well he might be very genetically gifted to bench more, big thoracic cage and shorter arms, big triceps, big chest. So you can't really compare yourself in these terms, in terms of genetics, because we all have different genetics. So this is rather what I mean. And maybe some guy will have much better genetics in some aspects than you, so he'll have I don't know, a massive biceps peak, good biceps, and you don't have this, but instead you have a massive back. So if someone else has something, well, it doesn't matter because you also have something. And this is why you shouldn't compare yourself in the long term, because we all have our weaknesses and our strengths, and so this is what you should focus on. At the end of the day, you go to the gym, you just want to make friends and get better yourself and your body. Fourth is don't think you're a hard gainer. Being a hard gainer doesn't really mean anything. And to be fair with you, most of the time the hard gainers that are, you know, really skinny, they actually have pretty good genetics, and they actually end up looking very good. So but in case, you know, you're really struggling to put on weight, you're very skinny, then first you should listen to this channel, and you'll, you know, get quick results. So that's the first thing to do. And, you know, second, I'm gonna give you actual, if you're never coming back, I'm gonna give you good tips so you can implement them, and you'll very soon realize that hard gainer doesn't really mean anything. That's, you know, a stereotype word that we use all the time. So the first tips are, you need to eat more. And when I say more, it depends from people to people. Some people will just need, you know, to bulk up with, I don't know, a surplus of 200 calories, while other people might need 400. So it's a bit like a lawn mower, if I can take an example. This gardening tool, some of them you'll just need to do like a gentle pull, and that will work straight away. And others you'll have to try a few times, and then it starts. But at the end of the day, you know, both work. When it's starting and you can use it. And here it's a bit of the same. Sometimes some people might need a tiny bit more to get started and, you know, get in the momentum. And some others will need a bit less. So if you know, what I would do if I was you when I start eating more is, you know, go calculate your maintenance level, add 200 calories, you know, in surplus to it. See how it works for 2 weeks while you're training, and see if you put a bit on weight and if you see a difference. And if you don't, then, you know, go to 400 calories and stay at this. 400 calories should, you know, surplus should definitely be enough. Give it a month, see where you're at, and if you're doing, you know, the good training and you're eating like this on the side, everything should be fine. And we're gonna see how to train as well in the rest of these 30 tips, so don't worry about it. Also, another tip, don't cut too much. I see a lot of beginners who want to cut, you know. You see all these guys on Instagram shredded, and after 6 months of training you want to cut already. But the thing that you should do is actually bulk for like 2 or 3 years, slightly bulk. You're not gonna become, you know, super fat or whatever. You're just gonna, you'll be all fine. So you know, slightly bulk, let yourself improve, because when you cut too much, you know, cutting is not much fun, and you're actually slowing down your progression because you're not building muscle in this, you know, range of time. So what you know what to do is really build some good meat, some good muscle, and after 2 or 3 years you want to then cut down if you want to see the results. But in my opinion, you shouldn't cut before. The most successful natural bodybuilders that I've met, you know, they don't cut that often because they know it's gonna kill the momentum. If you're going to the gym, another tip, and you're only starting, don't be intimidated by people that are stronger than you, because usually these people, first, they aren't much more confident than you, and second of all, they'll be here to help you because they remember that they were skinny as well when they started, most of them, or maybe they were, you know, they were carrying extra fat. And so in these people's head, they're really someone, you know, if they see you, they really want to help you, and they won't judge you. So take, you know, these 2 kg dumbbells, and if you can't get 10 reps, no one cares. Everyone will be there to help you. Don't be intimidated. Last tip for the hard gainer is to work on muscle that will make you look big straight away. So this is not something that I personally did when I started. I just did all the muscles. But if you really, I don't know, go as fast as possible, and because this guide was about giving, you know, the best tips to improve, then you could work, you know, on the muscles, put more emphasis on the muscles that will make you look big straight away. So I guess that's a little shout out to Alpha Destiny, who is a natural bodybuilder, and he's got a big channel, and I think in his programs, Naturally Enhanced, he was you know, advising to go for big muscles straight away, because obviously they're the one that will make you look big pretty fast, because they take a lot of space. So this would be shoulders, back, legs, and chest eventually as well. So maybe you can focus, you know, on shoulders, back, and legs. And I think, you know, you can see quite a massive difference if you start hammering these exercises first, and then obviously work on the other muscles, but not as much if your goal is to, you know, after 2 or 3 months having people tell you, oh, well, I can see a difference now. So the fifth advice is to stick to your routine. Sticking to your routine is so important, because people don't realize, you know, we hear so much bullshit these days about, you know, shocking the muscle, but it doesn't mean anything. You know, shocking the muscle is a bit like saying, okay, do this, you know, university degree, and then, you know, after 1 month, jump to another university degree, and then go to another one, and then come back to the first one. Like, you'll never actually learn and, you know, become an expert of the subject you want to learn. At some point you gotta stick to become better. We always say, you know, practice makes perfect. Well, I don't think there is anything such as perfect, but practice makes obviously much better, and so practicing the same exercises is the key to improve. And because as natural bodybuilders we need to get stronger, and you know, these strengths, then we can use it to get bigger. I will explain this a tiny bit later in these 30 advices, but basically sticking to your routine, you know, is very super important. So the number 6 is to start with the basics, and to be honest with you, this is always about the basics in natural bodybuilding in general. Even when you bench 200, it's always the basics. It's just working super hard on the basics and, you know, becoming better at these basics. So obviously it's changing a little bit, and you can adapt the program better to yourself, which we will see later. So it's not, you know, just about purely basics, but 80% of the time it's always about the basics. So the 7th advice is to train in a smart way, and by a smart way I mean programming, for example. So I could give you an example. So for example, Monday you do triceps, Tuesday you do chest, and Wednesday you do shoulders. Well, this is pretty dumb and you don't want to do this. Instead, you might want to do Monday chest and triceps, Tuesday rest, Wednesday shoulders, or you might want to do Monday chest and shoulders, Tuesday rest, Wednesday biceps and triceps. Because basically, imagine you do triceps the day before chest and your goal is to, you know, build chest. Well, if you do triceps the day before, you'll be super sore for your chest day the next day, and then you know what, you're doing shoulders the day after, so now your triceps and your chest are sore and you want to do shoulders, and you've already hammered your shoulders in these 2 past sessions. So it's intelligent, so you have to, you know, build your program in a smart way. And so here I'm giving, you know, quick tips like this for this video, but I'll go much more in depth in other videos. So that's my advice. Train in a smart way and make sure your muscles aren't competing with each other, you know, during the week. And so, you know, training in a smart way also comes back to specializing, which is the 8th advice I have to give you today. And so specializing means selecting your exercise selection. You only focus on what really matters to you. So before I said, you know, stick to the basics and, you know, improve this way. And once you've built some muscle, well, you can actually know a bit better about your body morphology because you've built some meat. So now you can see, you know, what kind of morphology you have and what kind of exercises will be good for your morphology. So for example, we know that very tall people usually they're not very good at squats, so they can find variations that will work better for their legs to build legs. If you've got, you know, very short biceps, then you might adapt your training to, you know, choose the best exercises for biceps. And then if you have long biceps, you'll choose other exercises that will be more beneficial to work these long biceps. So this is really about this. You really have to learn about your body morphology, and this is what specializing means. So you have to specialize at some point. It's basically exactly like you know, filling your car with the right fuel. You're not gonna, you know, fill it with some fuel that will break your car straight away. And so this is why as well exercise selection is very important, because you're also gonna prevent from injuries, and you're just gonna target, you know, what really matters to you, and then you're gonna make so much progress this way. And I will talk about it in another video if you're really interested. The 9th advice is to get stronger. This is so important as a natural bodybuilder to get stronger, because the problem is that a lot of beginners, and I did the same, is to just focus on volume and hypertrophy. So bodybuilding is a lot about volume and hypertrophy. This is super important, but you have to get stronger, because if you don't improve in terms of strengths, you will never be able, you know, to get bigger. And I will explain you this right now. So you have to get stronger, and now I'm gonna tell you the 10th tip, which is to do enough volume. If you only get stronger, you'll just end up like a power lifter, you know, so you'll lift super heavy, but you will never build muscle. And so what you want to do is actually get stronger, but not the way a powerlifter does get stronger, which means you don't want to stay, you know, just for low reps, and you want to, you know, work on all the muscles, because powerlifters, they actually don't work on all their muscles. You know, they just focus on 3 movements, so they're actually not, you know, doing isolation. They're not really trying to build their biceps, for example. So you really want to, as a bodybuilder, focus on hypertrophy as well. So you want to get stronger like powerlifters do, but you also want to implement in your training some volume. You know, go for 10-15 reps, because this is how you grow muscles. So you want to do both. You basically want to get stronger on these rep schemes of 10 to 15 reps, but for that you also probably have to implement some strength training like powerlifters do, and over time, you know, with nutrition and everything, you will get bigger. So you have to do enough strength and you have to do enough volume. And because we're talking about volume, I also wanted to say, if you're a beginner, don't try to failure. Go to 80-90% of your max, but you have to leave some in the tank. The more experienced you are, the more you'll be able to go to failure. But at the start, what you really want to do is get used to the movement, leave some energy in the tank for the next sessions, and then failure will be for later. Alright guys, so this was part 1, and I will, you know, post part 2 and 3 because I think 30 tips were a bit too long to watch. And I think it's just better if you're starting to watch this channel to kind of like not have everything at once, and so you can, you know, watch that first video and learn from it, and then have the second one and the third one coming in. So really hope you enjoyed. If you did so, subscribe, like and share, because I think it's important you know, to have people getting the right advice from the start and not fall in the trap of the whole fitness industry on Instagram with not always such great tips. All right, take care.